Hello and welcome to Gapeys Garden. We are now well into fall and there's a lot of changes in the garden right now. I've been busy cleaning things up and getting a fall garden planted, so I thought I would show you what I've done so far and what I still have left to do. All right, let's go take a walk around the garden. Let's start here with the in-ground bed. This is the one bed I haven't really done any cleanup work in yet. We've got our cosmos. The Korean cosmo finally decided to bloom, and it is loaded with blooms. It was the last cosmo to bloom, and it's kind of different. It's orange and it has a pretty big center there, but the bees really enjoy it. All of the other cosmos are pretty much done. This one is completely died back. This one is still blooming a little bit, but for the most part is done. We've got our volunteer amaranth there, and we still have all of our potatoes. They're just starting to die back, so I'll be harvesting those here pretty soon. Some of them are still getting some flowers. We do have some potato berries on some of these. You can see that there. So I'll be saving some seeds from some of these and trying to grow those next year. But all of the potatoes in here are either a few volunteers from last year or they were started from potato berry seeds in the spring. So I'm really looking forward to harvesting some of these. I have harvested a few because I think the rain has been, you can see here, the rain has kind of gotten some of the potatoes to show up here. So we're gonna have all kinds of great diverse plants in here. What is that? Oh, I think this is a squash. That one isn't going to reach maturity, but there is at least a dozen potatoes in here, and we're going to have all kinds of different colors. And we've got our dahlias. These were started from seed. Got a little bee on that one. It's a really nice day today. We've got two different colored dahlias that I started from seed about 3 years ago, and I don't dig up my dahlias in the wintertime like a lot of people do, and they seem to be doing just fine and come back every year. We've got a sprouting broccoli here that actually never ended up sprouting anything. It's just gotten leaves, so that was kind of a fail. And then we've got a few volunteer straw flowers in here that are different colors. And then our coneflower right there in the middle is pretty much done blooming. And that's about all that's in this bed. Now the rest of these are raised beds. This is one that I've got over next to the compost bins. We have some Swiss chard here that I started in the spring and has been doing really good. It has been getting leaf miner damage, but I think those are pretty much gone now because the new leaves that have come out are looking pretty good. We had some broccoli that I planted in the spring. This is a normal broccoli, not the sprouting kind, but I harvested the head about, 2 months ago or so, and we've got all kinds of sprouts that have been coming up. So I've been harvesting a lot of those and cooking them, and we do have some that I let go to flower here because the bees really like that. I've got 2 of these in this bed, and this other half of the bed is where I planted the garlic. And after harvesting the garlic, I planted some beans, which have produced really well. You can see I've got a fence up over this. It's a fence within a fence because I've got some carrots that I started in this bed as well. And I noticed a rabbit. I've got a camera here, and we caught a rabbit in here red-handed eating my carrots. So this other fence that we have here wasn't enough to keep him out, but this other one that we have in here certainly is. And then we've also got a ton of volunteer potatoes in this bed that was growing in between the garlic. So I'll probably be harvesting that pretty soon. And I'm not sure what variety it is. I haven't planted potatoes in this bed in like 3 years. So they just keep coming back. Now this bed is my main winter/spring bed. So a lot of this stuff isn't going to be harvestable until spring. But we've got some beets here on this end. We've got a bunch of radicchio. We have some scallions here that really took forever to grow. I planted these like 3 months ago and they haven't hardly grown at all. And then we've got some lettuce, and then a lot of spinach in here as well. And then on the very end, we have a couple of kales. I think that one there is called Feathered Frills. And we've got a scarlet kale. And then this one is a volunteer spinach that I dug up in another area of the garden and planted it here between the kale. Now this last bed is where the tomatoes were just 2 weeks ago. So I pulled out all of the tomatoes out of this bed, and all that's left are a few kale plants. I'm thinking about leaving those in over winter, and maybe we can harvest from those throughout the winter, but they're still loaded with lots of kale. We've got a few flowers, some marigolds, we've got straw flowers, and these were being supported by the tomato cages, but since I pulled those out, they needed some different support. So I have these really tall Y stakes that I like to use, and that works really great for those. We've got some chrysanthemums still in there. I'm probably going to take this out here in the next few days. And we've got some zinnias and another, this kale is just crazy. We have tons of that, but the aphids are starting to find it, so I have to check for that. And then we've got another kale back there. We've got a few kohlrabis still in here too. This one over here looks like a big, huge potato. I hope that's still good because we need to harvest that here pretty soon. And then the only other thing in this bed is one pepper plant that was a late addition to the garden, and I didn't really have anywhere to put it. So I planted it here, and it ended up doing fairly well. It's called Tiger Jalapeno, and it has some slightly variegated leaves, and the peppers are really pretty. I already harvested a bunch of them, but this one is a little bit small. The peppers are purple and green, and then when ripe, they start turning purple and red, so it's a really pretty variety. It's supposed to have some mild heat, but this one in particular has absolutely no heat at all. Even in the center where the seeds are, there's just no heat, which is kind of interesting because they look like they are kind of hot, but they're not. Then we got this newish bed that's along the chicken run that we started, I think, last year, but we've got all kinds of volunteer sweet alyssums that the chickens munch on, and we've got bees that really enjoy it as well. We've got some Swiss chard. I think we got a couple Swiss chards in here. And then this is my sea kale, which doesn't seem to be doing all that well. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe it needs more fertilizer. I don't know, but the leaves are getting kind of wilty and it just doesn't seem very happy in here. And we've also got more cosmos. That was a volunteer. And this one looks really pretty. You can see the damage here from the leaf miners, but most of these are pretty good. And we've still got our tangerine tigers in this bed. We've got 3 different ones, and I show this plant in all of my pepper updates this year, but this one here produces only red peppers, and then this middle one had a lot of blossom end rot issues, but it seems to be pretty productive and doing pretty well. And then this last one is my favorite, Pheno, and it's got stripes, and just look at that, loaded with pods. There's a lot of ripe ones in here I need to harvest, and I will have seeds available for these if you're interested in trying out this really cool pepper. But that's a cross between the ahi tangerine and the sugar rush stripe pepper. And I've got a whole video on that cross if you want to check it out. Lastly, we'll take a quick peek at the greenhouse. I haven't really started cleaning up anything in here yet. We haven't had our first frost, even though the average first frost was a few days ago, but it looks like we might be getting one coming up next week, so I really have a lot of harvesting to do. The basil is pretty much done. It's starting to get kind of wilty and just probably just needs to be pulled out, but we've got tons and tons of ripe peppers all over the place. I did harvest yesterday or the day before the Chihuahua Negro here in the back. It's a kind of a pasilla type pepper, but I do have pasillas over here as well, and I am going to be harvesting these next. We've got a ton of ripe ones ready to pick, and look at all those guajillos back there. We've got a ton of work to do in here, and we still have our tomatoes in here. So I took out all the ones outside the greenhouse, but these 2 are still in and doing fairly well. We've got a few that are about ready to harvest. The Orange Crush, my favorite variety there. I did a video on that. And then this one here is Captain Lucky, and we've got quite a few that are about ready to harvest as well. And we've got our habanero. This is one I did not grow from seed. I got this from a plant swap, and I just kind of tucked it away there. And that's pretty much it. We've got a huge kale plant there in the back as well. We still have a lot of fall starts to plant, but these, I'm planning on putting them in the greenhouse after I get all these peppers and stuff taken out. We've got spinach, we've got kale, and we've got another tray of starts out here. We've got our peppers in a can still going. We've got some radicchio, some lettuces. This is my favorite lettuce here, this Morton's Secret Mix. Really pretty one. And another pepper in a can. But yeah, that's about it for the garden this time of year. We've got our figs going strong. Probably do an update on those here before long. We're still getting a few ripe ones here and there. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.